Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That was Bass Boy Carter on the ones and twos. Thank you for that wonderful intro. We always show love here at the studio. It's Not That Bad. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the movie Rent by Christopher Columbus. Here in the studio with me, to my left, I have the beautiful, voluptuous, gorgeous Hattie Malott. Beautiful.
Oh, hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Hattie.
To her left, my right, Emily Miller.
Hello.
And to her left, my right, Ashley Arlo.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
What's happening? So we all watched the movie Rent.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible movie. Well, I guess we can. Let's get into the synopsis of this.
Okay, so basically, it's about a group of people living in New York City. Mm-hmm. They live in an apartment complex that is going to be bought. Yes. And basically, it's going to be bought by their friend, and they don't want to pay the rent that's going to increase for the whole year.
Yeah. What we are first introduced to our characters. They live in a loft.
A huge
loft. Like
beautiful.
Like a small business could easily run out of that apartment.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my god.
Their living room alone is like as big as like someone's home living room, like a house.
Yes.
Like a strip mall H&M.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Perfect. With break room and back space. Like
they've got
if you knock down all the walls in a strip mall,
they have a huge apartment.
Right. And they somehow pay rent for the entire year at once.
Yeah,
no,
it's
they don't.
An annual charge because they get a
yeah.
notice and they realize how much more it's going to cost. That's
I do believe that Benny did promise them that once he bought the building, they could get that year rent for free.
Somehow.
Yes.
Somehow that would work.
He said he would hook it up. And the reason he says that they can get free rent, actual free rent, if they stop a protest that their friend is having for the company that he works for.
Let's talk about that protest real fast. So the protester is the character Maureen, who's like the drama queen of the group.
Edgy.
She's edgy. She does performance art.
She's an artiste.
That protest scene is the most cringeworthy thing I have ever watched.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It made no sense.
Maybe I don't understand art, but what does this have to do with anything?
Just so I can get a quick gauge here. We all agree that the movie was bad, right? Or is it just me?
Okay, plot for sure.
Plot bad. For sure. But I will admit,
good.
I have listened to the Rent soundtrack on repeat so many times. And after watching the movie last night, I listened to quite a few songs from the movie again.
I love the songs. Honestly, you play me the reprise of 525.
Oh, yeah.
That song?
Seasons of Love?
Seasons of Love. I'll cry. Oh. I will cry.
Well, I mean, I didn't care that much for the songs or the movie, but I tried to keep an open mind about it, and some of the songs I thought were better than others. I did not mind some of the songs. Seasons of Love was probably the one I liked the best.
Mm-hmm.
I cried because I wasted 2 hours and 11 minutes of my life. I just don't think musicals are good.
Okay, let's get into like the weirder things into the movie though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So like I noticed at the very beginning, he comes home and he goes, "Power's out." But then the phone rings. And then later in the movie, the signal for the power being back on is the phone ring. The phone rings and they're like, "Oh, power's back on."
Because they shut off their power on Christmas Eve, but then their friend Collins calls up to the apartment.
True.
On their phone.
True.
Yeah. I have oh my god.
So,
also, can we talk about Collins calls up, he's like, "Hey, throw down the keys." They throw down the keys. Collins is immediately mugged. Instantly. Yeah. They somehow do not get the keys, and his friends did not question immediately after 5 minutes, "Where's Collins?" It was like hours later that they were like,
let's go find him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, and like he was just mugged like in the middle of the street. They like pulled him into an alley, like.
Yeah.
But there were people around.
Yeah.
There were so many people in the street because they had just finished the Rent number. Everyone was just burning things in the street.
They started fires to keep warm, and then they dumped them out onto the street.
Yep.
In a form of protest.
Yeah. Also, they specifically made the point that they did not have stuff to burn. They had to burn their old posters and screenplays.
Yeah.
So they just wasted all that.
Yeah.
Also, in the Rent number, everyone in the apartment complex is burning things. Everyone is singing how they don't want to pay their rent. So did Benny promise everyone who lives there free rent for a year? Because if so, I understand him going back on his word and being like, I can't do this.
I mean...
Is that just for the thrill of the musical, or did he really promise everyone that?
There is no plot. I've never been more confused in my entire life.
I mean, I understood the plot, but when I watched this movie, I thought, I guess I just don't understand how rent works, because I thought everyone had to pay rent, and they had to pay it monthly so that you could ensure that people would continue to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, also, can we just say that Benny comes in very level-headed and says, if you stop this protest against my father-in-law's business, you will get free rent.
It was a good deal.
It was an amazing deal.
It's like 5 minutes of work for this is a loft apartment in New York City. That's like what, $100,000?
It's more than that.
It's a two-person apartment. That's the size of a condominium for like the poorest of a rich group of friends.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that studio space that they used to build that apartment is used in like other movies for like fancy like New York
I
piano
guarantee that
care.
was in House of Cards.
Yeah, like
yeah.
like come on. Also, can we just talk about for a second how every single setup in the movie, like all the street scenes and everything, it looks like it's filmed in a studio. It looks like a studio made the streets of New York. Like, it's very clean and so clear.
I don't know if any of you guys have been to New York.
Yes.
But they do not have wide boulevards that stretch out for miles across. It is like they're in like, are they in Brooklyn? Like, where are they?
Avenue B.
Oh, they're in Alphabet City, which is one of the worst places in New York City. And all the buildings like boom, 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 one after the other. No space in between. Barely any.
And
they're all bad except for that one part.
I was wondering, I was like, where do they live? Were they like downtown? Because if that's the case, then they've got even a better deal.
Yeah, well, and all the buildings look like they were just freshly painted and then like threw a little bit of dirt on them. Like, let's make them look a little dirty.
I want to talk about the like level of wealth between the friends, because it gets very confusing. Who's poor, who's rich, who comes from a rich background, and who's just not spending money on their friends.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
well, first of all, what's his name?
Collins?
Not Collins, but Mark. Mark gets a call from his family. He's living in first of all, neither Mark or Roger seem to have a job. Maybe I just missed it, but I do not know how they're paying. So I'm like, okay, maybe they literally don't have any money to pay this rent. But like, so they don't have money. And then Mark gets a call from his family. They're like, hey, honey, we're worried about you, talking to you. All the kids are here. I'm like, wow, that's weird. Why isn't Mark living with his family? Like, he's all alone, but he's like, no, I'm not talking to them.
Yeah, and that question is answered immediately after they hang up the phone, because he says, sometimes when we're broke and cold and hungry, I think, why do I still live here? And then they call. The most supportive parents I've ever heard.
I know.
I want to, just for a little bit, just backtrack a little bit to the first scene, because this has been burning in my mind ever since we brought up how bad this movie is. And you guys noticed that when the rich guy, Benny, right?
Yeah.
Comes up and to Mark and Roger for the first time, instead of just, doing the normal movie thing of having characters that are interesting and like you find out about them throughout the film, Mark just pulls out his camera and then explains the entire backstory of Benny and goes like, Benny, who has this parents that did this and wants to do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
How are you? And then he just stops recording.
He's like, this.
Yeah,
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, what was that?
That was a curse word.
That was a curse word. We're gonna have to talk to our sponsors. I don't know. We're live.
But
yeah,
yes.
I thought that was very I guess to surmise the movie into one scene, it would be that. Yeah, it's just
But they did that
talking.
with so many other characters too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I'm
boy.
pretty sure he comes in and he's like, "Where's Maureen?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
all the characters are like, "Oh, Maureen, the girl who does protest stuff, who used to date Mark but is now dating a woman, that girl."
Not
And
only a woman, a lawyer.
yeah. Like, they do that with so many characters, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and then
Thank
it's like
you.
Collins is introduced. They're like, "Oh my God, Collins is back from his gig at MIT as a professor.
I know.
Where are you now, Collins? Oh, I'm at NYU
Right.
as a professor."
Dude.
And
How?
he's so poor?
Yeah.
He's so poor that he has to use his girlfriend, who makes money on the street drumming, to give him a home.
Who made a ton
let's
of
talk
money?
about this. Angel, like, oh, wait,
Oh.
You finish first.
Who made a
'cause
ton
I'm
of
about to
money
change the subject.
by killing a dog. She killed someone's dog who I later found out was Benny's wife's dog, and that's why she couldn't make it
Wait,
to
that
the
song
protest.
wasn't a metaphor?
No.
one?
No.
The one where she's like, "Oh, I made this money that
No.
a rich lady paid me to throw a dog off like the third
No,
story."
because later in
That wasn't a metaphor?
No, because later in La Vie Boheme, they're like, oh, Benny's like, "Oh, there's been death in the family," and they're like, "Who died?" And he's like, my Akita. And then Angel and Collins look at each other and go, "Evita?"
Yeah,
Because they
know
killed
him.
the dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so
So, like, Angel is supposed to be the most sympathized character, but I could not even. I was like,
Okay.
the only reason why they want me to sympathize with this character, the only like good reason they give me is because like she has AIDS.
Well, here's why you like Angel, because Angel, drumming on the street, gets up and investigates when she hears coughing in the middle of winter in New York. and then finds a mugged person and takes them home. And then the next day, when that mugged person wants to introduce them to their friend, he Collins leaves her outside and then opens the door, and she comes in and just gives his friends money for no reason.
Yeah.
Because she's nice.
But also, like, dare I say that she is crazy? Because, like, she helps a random person on the street, which, like, that's, like, helping people is fine.
Yes.
Then she takes him home. They start a relationship, like, that night. And then she dresses up in a Santa costume and dances for his friends.
Right.
Yeah, and Hattie's right. She just gives them money. Like, she comes
gives
and
them
she
money.
buys them, like, Stoli and, like, tiny cheeses, which, like, does
Tiny
not
cheeses are
She was
expensive.
spent, like, a lot. She did not spend that much money on the food, but she just hands them, like,
Cash.
wads of
Also,
$100
she only
bills.
got $1,000. Like,
Yeah.
she was handing them $100 of bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure she did it later too. She was like,
Yeah.
"Hey guys, it's on me this time." Like, oh, Angel is like taking them out.
How many dogs has she killed?
Good question.
Okay, one thing that I just want to point out in the exposition of this movie, Benny comes in to his old roommates and he says, "Listen, guys, I want to build a studio where we can like create content and create things that we want. We can just like be as artistic as we want. We can rent out rooms on top of the studio so it will pay for the studio. So we can all have a free place to create art." And they say no. a musician and a filmmaker say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially two that don't work, and one of
Yeah.
them, Mark, doesn't work because he's all salty about being commercialized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, okay, the whole like we don't want to be sellouts thing that is ever present in this movie is insane.
Yeah.
Because like Mark films with no corporate oversight. He
Yeah.
films a protest the exact way he wants. A news show comes to him and says, "We will buy your protest."
Yeah.
Also, we want you to film more stuff for us. He
Yeah.
says, "No, that's selling out."
Yeah.
Like they're letting you do what you
Dude,
want to do.
how is
They're
it
just giving
selling
you
out?
money for doing
Like,
what you're already doing.
What else are you gonna do? How else are you gonna get people to see this? This is literally being paid to like
Do what you want.
To yeah.
Also, he filmed stuff on like a Super 8 camera and was able to sell it to the news.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, I don't think
No.
so.
If I was a news producer, I would be like, nope, we're finding some like B-roll of policemen, or
Yeah.
we're getting the sectioned off like police tape shots.
Right.
We are not using the Super 8 grainy, gritty, gross footage.
Yeah, Nightcrawler would not approve.
Nope.
So before the actual protest, Mark gets a call from Maureen
Yes.
asking him to come and help her with the tech stuff there. So he shows up, and Maureen is not there.
Yeah.
Her girlfriend is there, and there is a random phone hooked up on
Yeah.
the stage.
A
Oh,
rotary,
yeah. A
like,
rotary
phone.
Oh my god, that's so true.
That's like, it looks like, because they're doing this protest in, like, if you haven't seen the movie, they're doing this protest in a homeless encampment.
Okay.
Like, they just
Yeah.
cleared out a room that clearly was full of homeless people.
Yeah.
And
Full
they were
of,
like,
like,
I'm setting up a
TVs.
stage.
Here's my thing with the protest. First of all, that it's housed in that location.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, why is Benny's father-in-law worried about this protest at all? Because it doesn't seem like, first of all, that it's really going to have any sort of effect on whether or not people are going to be paying their rent.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, the amount of people who show up, I'm like, unless this is literally the entire population of your apartment complex, you should not be worried about a performance of this size.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
seriously.
the fact that they showed up and brought police and we're all worried about it, like, baffles me.
Also, it wasn't really a protest. Like, it's
No,
not a protest
it
in the
was a
sense that there's people
bizarre-
chanting.
Yeah.
It's a performance art piece that is so vaguely about, corporate
Yeah.
America that you could say the same thing. That thing was protesting Coca-Cola Company because it
Yeah.
had no real, like, it didn't say anything real
Yeah, it didn't.
at all.
It didn't name anyone. It was
Except
just like
Benny by name.
Yeah, yeah.
She
She
called
said,
him out in the middle of the performance. I was like, you are literally, oh my god, shouting
Yeah.
out Benny's name out of everyone. Not the not the people who own the apartments,
Yeah.
but Benny, who's a sellout and a traitor.
And he's a sellout trader because he married a woman he loves who happens to be rich. Like, the rest of them are running
Right.
around being like, how can I have true love? How can I have true love? And it's like, he has it and he's happy.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe not, because he
'Cause
he
then-
cheated on...
yeah, I have
His
in my
wife.
notes later. Isn't Benny married? Because him
Yes.
and Mimi were like
Also,
unclear of what they were doing.
Yes, and also, Mimi is 19 in this movie. Now, I am very
Yeah.
unclear about how much time passes truly in this movie.
Yeah.
But at
It's
one
a
point,
year.
she says, oh, me and Benny got together 2 years ago, which would make her
Oh.
17
Oh, no.
That's
when
so
they first got
true.
together.
Oh, gross.
Let me take a year to figure out if I love you. That's Roger.
Yep, that's Roger.
Yeah.
I thought that was the biggest
Yeah.
thing you could do.
Yeah.
Go like, especially as someone with a countdown on their life. Like he did not know if she was going to be alive. I mean, it was very unclear that she would be.
Well, their
I mean, she did
relationship-
have AIDS, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
she
We
had
should-
HIV. She
yeah,
didn't have
I'm
AIDS yet.
unclear at what point they all are at.
I don't
in this
think.
movie.
Yeah, they all look
Roger
so
and
healthy.
Mimi don't have
Well-
AIDS yet. They both just have HIV.
I do feel like there was some definite CGI on Roger to make him look skinnier as the movie went through. Like, for sure. So
For sure.
I was very unclear about his health status, but then, oh
Also,
boy.
just so you guys know, the same man that plays Roger in this movie also plays the same character type in School of Rock at the beginning. He's in the initial band that Jack Black is in, and he performs.
That's Roger when he went to Santa Fe.
That's Roger when he went to Santa Fe.
Roger
Oh my
went to
God.
Santa Fe for like 2 weeks, and then he's like, no,
Yeah.
I need to come back.
Yeah, I don't know how he thought, I'm going to move to Santa Fe and it's going to be easier to make money playing guitar in the street than in New York. I'm like,
Yeah.
New York is an established thing. You make money on the street. Santa Fe people are like, it's suburban.
Yeah, they're like, what?
What are you doing?
No one's gonna see you there.
Why was he so okay with Mimi breaking into his house?
Good question.
Like,
she was
remember
pretty.
when
Yeah.
after the first night, she like was telling him to light her candle or
Yeah,
whatever.
she was wasting matches when they all can't afford heating.
Yeah.
But then the second night after she like started showing her occupation,
Yeah.
she just like got so excited that she broke into his house and then was like, "Hey, we should have make love right now." And then he's like, "No,
Get out of here.
Yeah, he like fakes being mad with that like me and my guitar song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he does not do anything truly to like.
Also, why can't he just be like, listen, I'm recovering. I
Yeah.
cannot do that.
Oh, I thought it was because he had AIDS.
No, and he's a junkie, and all his friends like, hey, get with this like
what?
practicing heroin addict right now. He's like,
Wait.
guys, I've been clean 7 months.
Hold on. That was the reason?
Yes.
That's one of them.
The whole time I thought he was like, I can't have sex with this girl because I might give her AIDS.
I think that's part of it. I think
'Cause
that's
then
part of it.
remember when
Because he didn't
remember-
know that she had it until halfway through.
But like when they
so
went
that's
to the
probably part of it,
when
but-
they went to the restaurant and he was like, I got a secret, but I can't tell you right now. And then it went beep beep beep. And then and then she was like, AZT check, and he's like, but you? And she's like, yes. And then they just start making out.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I could have had sex with you this whole time.
And then the most
but I didn't
vague
know.
song happens.
Oh,
Which
And
one?
I should tell you
Oh.
that
hate
song.
that song.
I don't hate it, but
Okay,
like
no.
nothing.
Let me tell you why I hate
They
it.
don't ever say what
Yeah.
they should tell you.
That's why I hate it, because it's like 3 minutes of them outside where nothing happens.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if you're gonna have this song, make it like 3 lines. Make it shorter. Like, there's no reason for them to do this the entire time.
None of those songs should have been in the movie. Like, honestly, also, there were too many songs that were back to back.
Yeah,
one
no, I agree.
part sticks out like a sore thumb was when they were on the subway and then they just started singing. Then after they got off the subway, because I counted, they got off the subway and then they were like, oh, I guess I'll see you guys later. Then they go into another song. They said 2 lines. I'm like, so why have the song? Because the previous song was like, let's go to Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's necessary.
What's with the obsession with Santa Fe though?
I
'Cause
don't-
they're a
I don't
bunch of
understand.
losers.
Go
it.
to LA.
Yeah, why
What
Santa
are you
Fe?
doing, Santa Fe? What even is in Santa Fe?
No.
Yeah, I mean, with what you're talking about, go to Italy. Like,
Yeah, open up a restaurant in Santa
Hey,
Fe.
they
I'm
could
like, you're
afford
gonna
it,
open up
probably.
like a Burger King franchise in Santa Fe. Can we get to the AIDS meeting?
Yeah, yes.
Scene. Okay. So
Most touching things though.
Oh.
Those songs
Oh,
that they
this
reprised
song-
in them, killer. I was like,
song-
just
yeah.
do stuff in the meetings.
yeah, no, the meeting songs I feel like are the saving grace of this movie.
Yeah.
But so Angel like invites Mark to one of the AIDS meetings. She's like, it's for everyone, not just people with AIDS. And I'm like, that's not how those meetings work. Like, it
Yeah.
is very much a safe space. You can't show up and just be like, I'm just here to participate.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have been affected somehow. Mark shows up with a video camera, says, oh, do you guys mind if I record this? Everyone in the meeting awkwardly looks at each other, and then one person kind of shrugs, and then like he goes, okay, and starts recording.
Yeah,
You can't. There's no verbal confirmation from anyone.
Aren't those
Yeah.
meetings supposed to be anonymous? too?
Yes, that's the thing. Like, everyone's clearly uncomfortable with him being there. They don't want to be
Yeah.
on tapes talking about their deepest, darkest secrets in the place where they thought they were safe.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mark is just like, It's like that scene, same thing, where the homeless lady tells him
Yeah.
off. I was like, yes, you're right, homeless lady. Mark should not be using your pain for his own gain.
Yeah. Also, Mark, buy a camera with an audio recorder. He has a crank up. Oh my god. Every time I watched him take that out, I'm like, you're not going to get anything useful from the stuff you're shooting. You're just shooting people talking with no audio.
It makes me wonder what his documentary actually was like.
I feel like
We saw
isn't
it.
Really
Yeah,
We
you
saw
saw
it
it at the end.
end.
There was no opening.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw it with like movie
Oh, we-
magic played over
No,
it too.
that's true. But we also it was basically just snippets of him and his friends, which I'm like, you can't sell that. Nobody
Yeah.
cares about you or your
Okay.
friends.
I am so angry because okay. He quit a good job to finish what looked like the film to be produced. I could have taken a on my couch, and that would have looked better than that. That was at the end. I mean, but whatever. Who cares?
Chris. Okay, Mark's documentary versus Rent. Better or worse?
Versus Rent. Well, I'm gonna have to go with Mark's documentary because it may have been terrible, but it's like the difference between, I don't know, getting all your limbs chopped off and getting shot in the face.
So getting shot in the face is better because it doesn't hurt as much.
Well, because it's like, ow, I got shot. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like getting your limbs chopped off is, how much longer? How much longer? That was Rent.
Yeah.
Like his film, like realistically, with the help of movie magic, was the last 3 minutes of the 2 hours and 11 minutes that Rent was. So I'd much rather watch like Mark Underground if they changed the name of the movie than Rent. because at least that one didn't have any music.
You're right.
You don't
Okay.
need music to
Also,
have a good film.
Later on in the movie, they're singing outside, and it's after Out Tonight.
Yes.
It's when he's singing
When he's doing the like
Leave Me and My Guitar
Yeah.
Alone. There's a part where he's on the balcony singing, and Mimi is on the street singing with Angel and Collins.
That was so bad.
Yeah, and they all are outside singing, and it's supposed to be winter, so it's very cold.
Yes.
And you can obviously see that their breath is CGI.
Yes.
Like, it'll happen when they're not even breathing. You're like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, it's insane.
There's this one point where Roger sings an extended note, and his breath comes out one puff, and then it's as if he's not
Nothing.
even breathing anymore.
Yeah.
It's
and it's
very
so
distracting.
prominent in every character.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It was very distracting. Because you're also, I don't think it helps that it was a musical when you're like, okay, beat, 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 beat. You know when they're going to say stuff next. And then when the breath is off, you're like, ah.
Whoa.
Yeah, and on more of that song, that one scene is like the end of like the Leave Me and My Guitar, and Mimi singing something along the
Called
lines of,
Another Day.
Another Day, and then Mimi singing lines that are like, oh, like this is
There's
like,
only us. There's only tonight.
There's only
Yeah.
the present. And so when Mimi and Collins and Angel and Mark are down the street singing up to Roger, Roger's lines are, get those drugs away from my life. I don't want to be with someone who's still using. I just got off this drug. I've
Yeah.
been clean 7 months. I've been trying really hard.
Yeah.
And her lines are, we must let go to know what is right.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, drugs are wrong. I
Yeah.
can't do drugs.
I can't do drugs anymore. And they're like, but this is, the present is the only thing that matters. Just live your life, man. And I'm like, you guys are the worst friends ever.
I know. They're so unsupportive.
Well, they're all like, date this girl. You should
Yeah.
date her.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, not to be like whatever, but like, she is a stripper
Yeah.
who is a heroin addict.
Yeah.
Like,
And
not
who is
the best
19.
track record. And 19.
Yes. Oh my god.
Which,
Yeah.
like, he already was in love with a woman who was a heroin addict and she died. Excuse me if he's a little jaded.
Yeah. And he knows he's dying. And like he watched, like in this movie, I think like it's different than the Broadway
Yeah.
show. Because I know we're not comparing it to Broadway show, but in the Broadway show, his ex-girlfriend slits her wrist and leaves him a note that says, we have AIDS, and dies in his bathtub. In this movie, she slowly, beautifully dies of AIDS. In the musical, there's like a line that says something like the Broadway musical line that says like, oh yeah, like, ever since April, like, slit her wrist and left the note that said, we have AIDS, I'm having a real hard time. It's like, that's how she told her boyfriend they have AIDS.
Oh my god.
She killed herself. And in this movie, she, like, slowly and beautifully dies of AIDS in, like, hospitals and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm like, yeah, like, give the man some time. He was
Jeez.
head over heels for this girl. It's been, like, not that long. And they're all like, you gotta get back out there, man.
It's been a little while because his hair grew a significant
you're
amount.
right.
Oh, dude, that montage, I was like, wow, they look like, I don't remember their names, but they look like the couple from Blade Runner. Like,
You mean Roy and the crazy chick?
I think so. Roy's the replicant,
Yeah,
right?
Tears in the
Yeah,
Rain.
that guy.
That guy.
That's who they looked like. I was like, what is this? Yeah. Did you guys notice that when they broke back into their house after New Year's Day, what's her name? Joanne was like, oh, well, technically you guys are squatters now.
Yeah.
Squatters can't be arrested. I'm like, really? You can't be arrested for breaking into a
Yeah.
building that you're no longer a resident of
Isn't that
and taking a
trespassing?
yeah, right? I'm like,
Hmm.
that's weird.
There are squatters' rights, but I don't think there's that all-encompassing as this movie portrays. They're like,
Yeah.
well, now that you're inside, you just live here now. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you have to, like, be there for, like, a while before it's technically...
And, like, is it literally, like, well, I mean, I don't know, but, like, are squatters' rights, like, actually a legal thing?
I
that
think
you
it's,
can-
like...
They are.
Yeah.
They are,
Okay.
But
yeah.
it doesn't happen after 1 minute
Yeah, they
Yeah.
walk in.
of deciding.
I
that-
think it's something along the lines of, like, if they're living there for, like, 6 months
Yeah.
without being bothered, then they're squatters. Because, like, you're not
Gotcha.
using the building, you just can't kick people out
Yeah.
kind of deal. But, yeah, this movie, she's like, well, now that you're inside, you're technically squatters. It's like, no.
you're trespassers.
Yeah, also, can we talk about how most of the songs and the dialogue. They talk about how poor they are and like they
Yes.
don't have any money. And then there's Joanne, who's like a freaking lawyer.
Yeah, she doesn't have to deal with any of
yeah,
this.
Well,
she
there's
doesn't-
also Mark, who dresses like he lives in J. Crew.
Yeah.
All like this is also like everyone except Collins dresses to the nines day to day, and Collins is easily one of the richest people in this
he's
friend
a
group.
professor at NYU, and
Yeah.
before that at NYT, and he's slumming it with his friends for fun.
If he were my professor, someone would call him out and be like, "This isn't a real class." Because
Well, it isn't a real class. It's computer age philosophy.
True.
Where he shuts down like virtual reality software to broadcast the words "actual reality, fight AIDS." I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
dude, you shut down a whole program.
Yeah, that's insane.
Rough.
Rough.
I don't know. I always thought he was lying. I don't.
Oh,
I could never
interesting.
tell. I don't know. Well, mainly because the whole movie's confusing, but I couldn't tell if like he legitimately worked or if he was just like palling along with his friends. Like they're like, "Oh, you're still working at MIT?"
Yeah.
That is a very interesting theory because we never see him be like, "I gotta go teach a class."
Yeah,
he
he's
talks
never
about
working.
grading papers, but he's always available, and he's like constantly getting fired and then getting a new job. I'm pretty sure if you're fired from MIT for being subversive, NYU is not going to be the one that
Right.
hires you.
And, well, to be fair, you
Yes.
don't ever see any characters working unless you count Mark
Well,
working on his freaking
The
documentary.
rest of them
You
don't
even
appear to
see
have
Joanne.
jobs.
And
Roger.
Joanne's
you're right.
a lawyer.
You're
and
right.
except for Mimi. We know what
Oh,
Mimi
we
does.
know what
That's
Mimi
the thing, is,
does.
Like, I'm like, hey, Mimi can afford her rent.
Dude, I'm like, how is
She-
Mimi poor? She seems to be doing
Yeah.
pretty well.
I will say the sequence, her stripping sequences "Take Me Out Tonight" is one of the most empowering stripping sequences I've
Yes!
ever seen. I'm like,
Yes!
yeah.
I don't
know.
know. Magic Mike.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, after her strip scene, I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
like her.
I like
And
her
normally,
a lot.
strippers aren't like a sympathized character as much,
You're right.
I think. But Mimi, I was like, dude, freaking like, go her.
Yeah.
I like her.
She's
Hey.
like working that
Yeah.
crowd so
Yeah.
well.
I
It's a
mean-
bunch of,
And she gives her backup dancers money.
Yeah, she's making money. She's spending money on what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else in this apartment apparently doesn't work, yet they're
Well,
complaining.
I know why she's poor, actually, because she spends so much money on her
on
heroin.
You're
yeah, on
right.
drugs.
She does spend a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is shown. She
Sad.
always has a new baggie, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Very
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Also, there's a scene in the song when the guitar boy
Roger.
is having flashbacks of his heroin days, and there's a scene where I'm assuming it's April,
Yes.
is shooting up, and he's sitting in front of her like a
Yeah.
little puppy dog, and he's just like got his hands on her knees, and he looks very distressed, and
Yeah.
she just seems to not care at all.
Is that-
They're shooting up in an alley when
Yeah.
it's pouring rain out.
I wrote in my notes, "In the rain," in all caps, question mark, exclamation point. What are they doing
Oh.
outside?
Was that during the song when after the first song?
Yeah, one
Or,
song.
well, after-
Glory.
Yeah, like that song was so confusing because he never explained anything.
Yeah.
It
I
was so
like-
vague. It wasn't until I saw the piece of paper because like that piece of paper shot was like 2 seconds. If I blinked, I would have missed that.
Wait, what
he had AIDS.
paper?
The one that said, "Oh, HIV positive,"
Oh yeah.
because
Oh,
he just kept
yeah.
saying
Yeah.
"glory,"
Yeah.
and then like,
That's the
"Oh,
thing.
don't
Also-
let the virus take you." And I'm like, "What is he
Yeah.
talking about?" I just so happened to look up from my phone the moment the paper was on screen. If I missed that,
I also think that song, like, it's so vague. I feel like he's supposed to be a much bigger star before this
Yeah.
all happens, because they kind of, like,
Yeah.
there's, like, posters, and they very quickly take one down that looks like it's his face, like,
Mm-hmm.
appearing
was.
tonight somewhere, yeah, and then burn it. But, like, I'm like, was he, like, how
Yeah.
successful was he before this all happened?
Very
Because I feel
true.
like he makes a very big deal out of something where I'm like, well, everyone has their ups and downs, man.
Yeah.
He looked like Sting also. That's the other person he looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song I was like, huh, if this had no visuals, I would not know what was happening.
Well, when I watched it, I
Mm-hmm.
was under the impression that he was once like a very well-known rock star.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
like
he had
not like
groupies.
crazy well-known, but like, you know, he had a few
He was
albums
doing
out.
good,
Like, he
yeah.
went on tour.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't tell. Like, I felt like it's like the way I just like, yeah, I was very confused because I felt like the way he was reacting to things was like, oh my god, he was successful. But like the stuff the movie showed was him playing in like a bar and like having a couple posters, and I'm like, that's not enough.
Well, he had a lot of killer outfits.
You're right.
That he wore.
They all have a lot of
leather
outfits.
jackets.
Yeah, they all have outfits.
Surprisingly,
Yeah.
they all wore a different piece of clothing every day. I mean,
Except
not
for
to.
Colin.
Yeah.
I feel like in this movie, the thing with them is that I feel like they're very ignorant of their own privilege.
Yeah,
throughout
they
the whole
are.
movie.
They are.
Because Mark, like, just Mark himself and Roger, they're come out, they're like, we are so poor. But they're wearing, like Roger, I bet, has 3 different leather jackets in this movie. I'm like, sell one.
For sure.
Sell one of
He
them.
bought a guitar in cash.
Yeah. And then, like, Mark comes out every day looking like a J. Crew model of, like, the newest fall fashions. I'm like, guys.
He wears a scarf. Like
He wears his scarf so
multiple
tight.
scarves.
yeah, like it's just they take a lot of the issues that I feel like are pretty like important issues, like AIDS,
Yeah.
homelessness,
Yeah.
even like identity with Angel, and they make it so like not important. It just seems like oh, guess what? This person has AIDS. That's it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to care now. And then it's like, oh, they're homeless too. Cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I also don't like, because, like, I feel like with the whole, protest stuff, it's, like, all about gentrification. It's like, you're trying to make this neighborhood that's been, pretty, like, low income area into, like, this really high income area. But they do it with 2 white guys that come from clearly very rich backgrounds. And then another, like, 2 women who come from very rich backgrounds, as we see from the engagement party.
Yeah, right?
That engagement party, they had an ice sculpture.
Yeah.
And her
Hot
parents
damn.
were so cool. They like were so nice and so supportive. I was just
I'm
like, what is
They
happening?
all showed up to that party. I was like, wow. So the fact that you guys think this is normal is pretty telling.
Also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
could freaking what's her name?
Maureen.
Protest? Could Maureen?
Oh, I didn't even know if that was who you were
Could
talking
Maureen
about.
be a more selfish human being?
Oh,
Oh,
my
she's
god.
so-
Like-
the fact that she's like,
so-
let me cheat on you with other women. Take me for what I am.
know.
I'm
But-
like,
No,
As bad am I in at the end of the day?
yeah. I'm like, that is very bad. That's like
That's messed up.
abusive. Also, real quick, the only time they referred to Angel as like they'd never call her transgender.
Yeah.
They also mix up her and his pronouns a
Yeah.
lot,
Yep.
which bothered me a lot. And then the only time she's ever like given a label is when Mark calls her a drag queen.
At her funeral.
Yeah,
But also-
no one says anything to be like, nope, you're wrong.
Yeah.
She was a lady. Don't call her a drag
Well,
queen.
keep
That's a
in
separate
mind,
thing.
I think Mark just doesn't know a lot because in his monologue there, he called
Yeah.
Angel a him, and he said, "Oh, excuse me, her,"
Yeah.
and then he called her a drag queen. So I think he doesn't know maybe the right words to use,
But
because
it's
I mean
still-
it was obvious that she was transgender,
Yeah.
right?
But sort of a devil's advocate to that, I'm willing to argue that none of them knew, because when it came after like her funeral, and they were like in the graveyard singing about their problems, and then Colin, I believe, right? Colin?
Yeah.
He came up to them and was like, I loved him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, of all the people, you
Yeah.
would know that
Yeah.
you would refer to Angel as her.
Yeah.
But the one time that I believe Colin actually referred to his lover,
Yeah, used a
he,
pronoun.
he said him. And I was like, okay,
Not cool,
that's
man.
I was willing to forgive everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But when
But
he did it, I was
also-
like, oh,
yeah.
they're all probably just don't care.
This movie did come out in 2005, and it was written
In like
in
1996.
the 90s, and it's set in 1990,
1989.
1989.
Whoa.
So, I mean, I know now it's very like, okay, like
Yeah.
we use the right pronouns, but perhaps, I don't know, I'm just giving it the benefit of the
Yeah,
doubt.
no,
That's 25 years ago, 26 years ago.
but I feel like this movie is so like trying to be forward. That's the thing that bothered me
Yeah,
was like
that's
I
the
was
thing.
like I know, like, and she, like, we could be calling Angel she, and it could have been, in
Yeah.
reality, easily could have been gender neutral, or,
Yeah,
like, just,
she
like,
might not identify.
she
that
might
way.
not identify or gender fluid or whatever, because there is a scene in the AIDS meeting where which I was like, because I do think the movie portrays her as transgender without ever saying it.
Yeah.
It
Where
does.
she takes off her wig as if she's taking off her false identity.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm Angel and I'm here now. You
Yeah.
know, I did like
Yeah.
I felt
I
like
like
that was
that.
very like she was like, I'm gonna be honest now, and I was like, ah.
Like, you're already honest.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and like the movie introduces Angel as
Yeah.
a man.
yeah.
Yes.
He's or she is dressed in male clothing and does not have a wig or makeup on.
Mhm.
Right.
And then the next scene that you see her in, she's dressed in like the Santa Claus outfit
Yeah.
and the
Yes.
bobbed hair.
Yes.
And so I'm just sitting here. I thought it was a completely different character first few times I watched it. I was
Yeah.
like, who is that just another friend? Is like what
Yeah.
happened to the guy that helped Collins?
Yeah.
And then like you sort of realize, and also at the beginning when they're singing Seasons of Love,
Yeah.
I was also like, who is that guy? Because
yeah.
he isn't dressed up as Angel at all. He's dressed up as just like a random guy, I guess.
Pre-Angel name.
Pre-Angel. Yeah, I don't know. But I was like, I feel like the first number is like them, like it's very like an honest number. Like they're all just like on the stage and they have individual spotlights. They're not really interacting with each other. Why isn't Angel dressed
All
like
that-
Angel?
Yeah.
Like
Who knows?
I feel like this definitely comes down to the writer.
Yeah.
Like whoever, like the guy who wrote this was like, I'm gonna be super progressive. I think he did his best.
Yeah.
I think this was very clearly written by a white male. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that. I'm not sure who wrote it, but I feel
Yeah.
like it was.
Yeah.
And I definitely think there was some parts that fell short of expectations. But let's talk. You know, I want to talk about some music and dancing.
oh yes,
Because
please.
this movie could be saved, in my opinion, by some good old synchronized dance numbers.
Ashley, you love a good
I
synchronized
love
dance
a good sync. I wrote in my notes, I love me a good tango number, and I was actively clapping when they did La Vie Boheme because they were like doing a little synchronized sitting dance, and I was like, yeah.
The tango scene was amazing.
I did like the tango.
Okay, regardless of the actual plot, the songs are amazing. I personally love the songs in Rent. I think that if you just listen to the soundtrack, how the songs flow into each other, you know the story, which is great. Also, but one thing I do not like about it is there's not a lot of room for dance numbers. There's one, which is Tango Maureen.
I like that.
But even in the Broadway show, I don't think there are any other dance numbers.
No.
I think Tango Maureen is the only one that's like a real dance number.
Yeah, like they do a sort of like more so on. I just saw the 20th anniversary tour of Rent. They do more of a synchronized dance during La Vie Boheme where they're sitting more and they do a lot more smacking on the table. Then also there is a scene where they, you know, the song "Today for You, Tomorrow for Me." They do a reprise of that called "Today for Me, Tomorrow for You," where it's a big orgy on stage.
What?
Where it's like all the characters, including Angel and Collins, having sex. It's like, oh yeah, and like stuff like that being said. And then at one point they say,
Wait, this is on stage.
this is on stage. They're all under this big sheet thing. It's very weird. It's very like surreal to watch. And then they like the end lines are like, then they're all like, that was terrible. Like all the couples then kind of break up or like, that was bad. It's over. It's over. Then it gets to Collins holding Angel, and Collins goes, "It's over." As in, Angel just died. That's how Angel dies on stage. Like,
Wait,
what?
they have an orgy with AIDS?
No, it's not like a real. It's like a stage orgy. So it's like them all. They're all under one
metaphorical.
blanket together.
Oh.
But they all
okay.
have AIDS. Is that what?
No,
It-
it's like it's a
metaphorical
metaphor.
orgy.
It's like
Oh,
they're all
okay.
supposed to. In reality, they're all in their own homes having sex with their partners. But the way it's portrayed on stage, they're all under one big blanket, like and there's like random cast members like humping each other on the side. It's very graphic. And then Angel dies after that point, which
Lord.
but that's like as far as the dance numbers get in the musical.
The orgy.
That's like the most synchronized thing. It
Wow.
it was weird.
Aesthetically, how was it?
I liked it in the
Not too
beginning. I liked the beginning because it looked, a few moments when they moved, it looked like a giant hand under a sheet. And I was like, ooh. And then it got weird.
Okay, one last thing.
Yes.
Today for You, Tomorrow for Me, worst song in the musical. I hate
Yes.
that song.
Which
Angel.
one is that?
Today for you.
It's when she goes in
Tomorrow
and gives
the money
the
song.
friends all the money.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah,
like,
it was pretty
okay,
bad.
Angel is the worst character in the show in my opinion. Is she supposed
Worst
to be?
lip syncer too. The worst lip syncer in the whole film.
Let's just for the final thing, let's just go around and talk about who we think is the worst character and who we think is the most redeemable, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna say the same people.
Okay.
I think Benny was the most redeemable because he has property rights and let the man build his business.
Yes.
And I think there's too little we know about Collins, and I think he's not giving his friends the support they need.
I think that Angel was the least redeemable, even though she died. But ugh. And I'm gonna have to say Joanne is the most redeemable because she's like the voice of reason for all of them. But also, I'm like, Joanne, get out of there.
Yeah. For me, the least redeemable would be Maureen. She's a horrible person, and like I don't know why any of these people are friends with her. Like they all know she's horrible.
You're right.
Let's see. The most redeemable. I mean, I definitely agree that Joanne is redeemable. She's trying her best. She's very hardworking and earnest. But I also like Mimi. She's trying, even though she's having a rough time. She's trying.
She's
young. One of the better, worst characters.
Yeah. I think Mimi. I could definitely give her more sympathy because she's young.
Oh yeah.
Therefore,
I think Mimi is the most sympathetic character.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah.
I think the least redeemable, I'm kind of tied between the stupid Mark and who's that idiot? Maureen. Because it's like Maureen just, I mean, we already said it. She's like a terrible person. She wants to be in a relationship, but like also wants to cheat. And it's like, oh, be okay with it. But I also don't like Mark because the first conversation he had with Joanne, he was like, oh, she's cheating on you. That's like the first thing he says to her. I'm like, he has no filter. And then he goes to an AIDS meeting and is like, they're like, what's your name? That's it. Simple question. Yeah. Oh, I'm not. I'm with Mark. Can I film you? It's like that. I'm like, that's like that. That's just how he is the whole time. Also, like, he initiated that whole song in the cafe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
you,
dude, what is your deal? Like, what happened? Why are you being so mean? And then he just starts talking about like anything taboo, and I'm like, that's cool, but like people are eating there. And I guess the best or most redeemable would I'm gonna have to give a big thumbs up to Benny.
Yeah.
Because he's hardworking. Yeah. He even after all the crap that he has to deal with Mark and idiot Roger, he's still like, oh, we're friends. They make fun of his dead dog, and he still laughs with them. He's like, ha, you guys are crazy.
You're right.
You can still work in the studio though, and I'm not gonna kick you out for squatting. Like he's a nice guy.
And at the start of La Boheme, he's just sitting there having dinner, and they're
he's
all like, how dare you come in here?
Yeah. To be honest, I find it kind of unbelievable that those people would go to that establishment. Yeah. But the fact that they're there, and then they get mooned and all these other...
Although to fault Benny, though, he did kind of, commit statutory rape, so...
Oh, yeah, that's true. We do not know.
Yeah, it's unclear. Also, how old is Benny?
I would say they're all at least late 20s. Like they have to be late 20s. Yeah. So, and he's he's in their group, and he's like a property owner now. So I don't think he's any, I think he's definitely late 20s.
Okay.
But
so let's talk about the wrap up of this movie.
Yeah.
All right.
So Roger leaves to Santa Fe, and then he comes back because he realizes that he loves Mimi. Mark
took him a whole year.
Yeah, it took him a whole. Well, actually, I don't think he was there for a whole year.
I don't.
He wasn't.
I was.
Oh yeah, he came back. He just couldn't find her.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a year.
So then Mark gets a job at a great news station,
which he hates.
$3,000 a segment.
His boss is Sarah Silverman.
His boss is Sarah Silverman, who is amazing. And Mimi starts using again, and Joanne and Maureen are broken up.
Yeah, which is good.
It's amazing. It's very good. it's amazing.
I'm so glad.
Joanne, go find yourself a great girl.
Someone who deserves you.
Someone who deserves you, exactly. So then Roger realizes he loves Mimi. He comes back. Mimi is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
No one can find Mimi. Well, she's not in her apartment. She's not on the street somewhere.
They got together. He broke up because she was using it. He just showed up in the middle of a drug deal, told her not to do it, and then left.
Yeah, made
Which
her
is, like,
cry
bizarre.
and then ran away.
It's
Ran
bizarre
away.
that he interrupted then instead of intercepting, before that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how Mimi went missing. Mimi starts using again. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she maybe went somewhere, and I don't know. Here's the thing is I don't understand because she has a house.
Yeah.
She
Maybe
has
her
a
rent
place
was
to
like
live.
on Venmo or something. It automatically paid because
Yeah,
Well,
because
the
she
thing
kept
is,
that
like,
apartment. All her stuff was still in that
Yeah,
apartment.
like the
No
thing
one
is,
moved
even
in.
if this is like she stopped going to work, okay, but you would still think she would live in her house even if she was getting like notices and stuff because it's a place to live.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
she
think
goes
the thing
missing,
was, like,
no one can find her.
She was just so strung out
Yeah.
that like she just never went home. She just stayed
Yeah,
on
that's the thing
streets.
is like I think she
That's what I
probably
thought.
ended up spending the night somewhere and then just did that
Yeah.
all the time.
That would make sense.
But like
So then
for so long, she
Yeah.
never went back. No one ever saw her, and then randomly they find her.
so then they find her on the street.
Yes.
They buzz up to the boys and then they let
We're
her in.
all there.
They're all there. They lay her on the table. She's
not
dying.
the couch, because
Yeah.
God forbid they move the things
Right,
on the
right?
couch.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she's dying and she's on the table.
Yes.
And then Roger starts to sing her a song and she magically
Well,
yeah,
gets
the power
better?
of
thing.
love.
No,
Okay,
the
this
song
is-
the song actually kills her. If you remember, he sings the song,
And
she
then-
immediately dies.
Yes. Here's what bothers me though is that she says that Angel told her to come back. Fine. I'll believe that Angel told you it wasn't your time and you came back. But what I don't believe is that you suddenly now do not need to go to the hospital and that you're all
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Why? I believe that you came back to life, but not that you are no longer suffering from having lived on the street.
Yeah, you're not suffering from exposure or anything. Your fever broke.
Yeah.
Or your fever from
Immediately.
what?
That
your
is
fever
some
from what,
bull.
Mimi?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing that made me, I think, the most angry.
Yeah.
It wasn't the whole everything is confusing and they're singing everything. I was willing to, let bygones be bygones. But when someone who has AIDS and is a junkie and is literally dying and died comes back to life through the power of love and then doesn't need to go to the hospital, does not need treatment,
Yeah.
and is, I guess, automatically, cured from
Yeah.
addiction. Because someone said, I love you. That's so cool.
Oh, and then I don't know if you guys picked up on this or just like realized what was happening, but like 2 seconds after Mimi is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. Mark
Mark goes and
and she turns on his documentary.
Yeah, he's like, well, everyone's here now. Time for my
It's like,
viewing.
Mark,
Stop!
this is
Somebody
not
just
the-
died.
Maybe he was
not
like
the
subtle.
Maureen and Joanne get back together
Yeah.
in the seconds after the friend has been saved
I
from
know.
death.
Like, this is not the time.
Maybe they
They make everything about themselves.
Mark, I mean,
Yeah.
I see a little bit of myself in Mark in that last scene because, sometimes you just want to like humble brag. You want to go like, oh, I'll just turn this on. Maybe if someone notices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like you ever like had a really, you found a song that you want your friends to listen to, and then like while they're all there, you just
You
like
just
play it in the
play it.
background, but you
Yeah.
don't turn it up too loud. You're just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if somebody asks me, maybe,
But, if one of your friends is dying, no.
Oh, yeah, well, I haven't been in
Well,
that
let's
situation.
see. The other thing, I forgot to say this earlier, but like the other thing about Mimi being on the street that confuses me is that even if she wasn't able to pay rent, like at this point in time, she's been kind of buddy-buddy with Benny, who's known to give people free rent. So you would think
Yeah.
that she'd be fine with coming back.
Well, wait,
but, you know,
and there's that montage where she's in his house and he goes to her dressing room and he puts his arm on her shoulder.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
remember that?
Oh, yeah.
at the strip club.
So
At the
what
strip club.
what does that mean? Like, was she?
I think that was
him comforting her.
because isn't then the funeral scene where her and Benny are together after that point? So that's like him re-entering her life and being
Yeah,
like, I'm here
maybe.
for you.
Oh, I guess so.
That's how
But
I-
I'm like, Benny, you're married to a
Benny
great
is
girl.
married. I
You work for your father-in-law, buddy. Slow down.
yeah, right? Everything you have is tied up in your wife, who you need to respect more.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Benny
All right.
is crazy.
And my last thought on the movie was after everyone's singing, my very last thought was, wow, I don't understand how rent works in New York.
I think
Not
it
like
works
that.
the same.
Not
as-
like that.
It works everywhere, and it's not how it's portrayed in the movie. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can't
Perhaps
just
the
stop
larger
paying rent.
concept, the largest concept they had to master, they did not.
They did not. Also, I'm thinking, okay, like, what happens now though? Because like they
Right.
still have to pay their rent.
Exactly.
Benny is still like a thing. He's still gonna build there.
Yeah.
They don't have any like right to do anything. They haven't paid their rent in a year.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Except,
Benny is in the
although-
full legal right to just like demolish it or
Right.
do
Yeah.
whatever he wants.
but I guess Mark is now making bank, and
Yeah.
you know it's funny also because it took Benny's father-in-law this long to realize that the people living in his apartment is not the clientele that he wants
Yeah.
living there.
Yeah. Well, didn't Benny
Yeah,
quit his
Ben-
job? He quit the news job at
Did
the
Benny
end.
have a news job?
You mean Mark?
Or excuse me,
Oh.
Mark. Mark
Yeah,
quit his news
Mark
job.
quit his job
Yeah.
to
well,
finish his terrible
Yeah, his
documentary.
documentary.
That's
And then he's
true.
like, I finished it.
what a fool.
But okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but this movie spanned over a year.
I
One
think-
year.
I think so.
Because it started at Christmas
It
and ended
started.
at Christmas.
It started at Christmas at
Yes.
9 p.m. EST,
Oh.
according to him.
Nice.
And then I remember another time he said 9 p.m. EST, and then he was like, "Wow, I can't believe it's been a year."
Yeah, so the
Okay.
whole
And
movie's over a
that's-
year.
Is that when Collins comes up again, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
they
you're
show
right.
up and they're like, "Mimi, we found her."
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is a full year. So everything happened today. Everything? Like
Have
all
you-
the drama is 1 year.
Have you guys seen Dallas Buyers Club?
No.
Okay, well that's based on a true story, and Matthew McConaughey's character gets AIDS, and he's also a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
But the doctor, as in the real life doctor, told him he only had like a month to live, and he lost so much weight, a lot of hair and everything. So, and he took AZT, which didn't work, which is why he like tried to find
Yeah.
natural drugs. So my question is, how is the only person that died Angel when she was at least I assume, the only one of them who didn't dabble in drugs and had AIDS?
Well, because, okay, Angel had AIDS. She had
Yeah.
full-on AIDS.
Yeah.
Collins had at least HIV.
Collins says himself he has AIDS.
Yeah.
So Collins definitely has AIDS. And he is a chunky man. He is not super skinny. Like, if you
Yeah.
have AIDS, I imagine you to be very skinny. That
Well,
might
it's-
just be
that's
me,
just
but
that's you don't die from AIDS. You know, you
Right.
die from another
sick.
illness
Yeah.
that your body can't prevent against.
Yeah.
So he could have just
but
been
still,
fine.
He got
he
lucky.
got mugged and he's on the streets. Like,
True.
Collins
Just
should
a
have
lucky
died
boy.
when Angel died at least. Okay, also, Qatar guy
Roger.
and Mimi.
Yeah.
Mimi looks like she
Mimi,
has
I mean,
HIV. Like, Mimi is skinny as hell. Her
Yeah.
eyeballs
It
are
was
like
alluded
very,
that she had it.
Yeah.
Pronounced. Like, she is very skinny. She looks like
She
she
looks
looks
from an
like a
illness.
user for sure.
Oh.
Roger is like, he does not look like.
Bulky.
Yeah, he is bulky. Dare I say, a little chubby at the beginning. I mean, not chubby,
the
but like
CGI they do on
healthy.
him.
come on.
Holy
yeah, he looks
cannoli.
healthy.
It's funny because I didn't even notice him losing weight.
When you don't really notice it. Then at Angel's funeral, you can tell they CGI'd his face.
Yeah,
and
they
he looks so
yeah.
gaunt
Yeah.
and weird.
Yeah, I think I didn't notice.
I
that,
feel like they
maybe.
just shaded in his like
Maybe.
cheekbones.
Yeah,
a little bit.
it was like weird. But do you guys want to guess opening weekend stats on this thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I would tell you this opening weekend. It opened Thanksgiving weekend,
Oh boy.
2005. It was in the top 5. What spot do you think it was in the top 5?
5.
It
One.
was 5.
Oh, it had to be because I'm like, there's no way anybody
The
would love
number
that.
one movie that weekend. Just
What year is
one,
this?
2005.
2005.
Shrek.
No.
Wait, was it an animated film?
No, it was not. But it is. You can say a movie for young adults.
Oh, The Breakfast.
Twilight. Oh wait, no, Twilight's
Wait, The
later.
Breakfast
2005.
Club. Wait. Oh,
That's the 80s.
Clerks.
Nope.
Clerks
Harry
2.
Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That came out at the
Hey,
same
didn't
time.
Christopher Columbus also direct that?
I don't know.
Yeah, he directed like 2 Harry
No,
Potter movies.
he directed the
It's
third.
not Prisoner of Azkaban. It's Goblet of Fire.
Oh my
Which is
goodness.
the
Uh,
fourth.
Oh,
Is that the one with those spiders?
no.
Goblet of no, that's the second one. Anyway, we're not talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And it beat out the much loved movie Pride and Prejudice.
Wait, what beat out?
Directed by Joe Wright.
Rent beat.
Pride and Prejudice.
But that's
Directed
such a
by
good.
Joe Wright.
That's such a good movie.
yeah.
Yeah, Joe Wright is a great director.
Yeah,
Yep.
his
Also,
cinematography
Keira
is very
Knightley?
beautiful.
Cinematography.
Also,
very
the
beautiful.
if you want to know the movie that beat, okay, there was a movie that beat Rent by $2 million opening weekend. That movie is Chicken Little.
I saw that in the theaters.
Yeah, you contributed to it.
And that movie was terrible.
Yeah.
It's Pixar.
It is.
Wow.
What were the other movies out of the 5?
Okay, so number 1 is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Number 2 is Walk the Line, which is that
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash biopic.
Joaquin.
Number 3 is Yours, Mine, and Ours, which I believe is
It's about the two
families with a lot of kids.
I saw that like so many times. Loved it.
Number 4 is Chicken Little. Number 5 is Rent. And then just after, in number 6, is the movie Just Friends, which I've never heard of.
Just Friends.
Just Friends. That sounds familiar.
Isn't that the one with Ashton Kutcher and?
I
No.
don't think it's that, because
Ashton
that's either
Kutcher?
No Strings Attached
Yeah, that's
or
probably,
Attached.
that's
Friends
probably
with
one of those
Benefits.
two.
Just Friends is a romance comedy. What? Who is that? Ryan Reynolds is CGI to look like a very
Oh, he's fat, right?
man.
Oh, it's like he's fat in high
is
school, and then
horrible.
no, it's like an okay movie.
Yeah, but they could have just used a. Well, I guess
Well,
he's
he
supposed to be
gets
skinny.
skinnier later. Anyways,
But I mean, just if you viewers at home, I highly encourage you to look up the movie poster because oh my god.
okay, so guys, give Rent a score.
Oh boy.
Maybe
Out of 10.
out of 10.
But let's use Rent terminology.
okay.
So
Oh my god.
how many seasons of love does this movie get? I'm gonna say
Out of 10.
Out of 525,600 minutes.
Dude, I can't.
How many
I can't
hours
come
does
up
it
with a
take to
ratio that
love?
quick.
I would. So wait, what are we doing?
Five- yeah,
you can
Seasons
go
of
first.
Love.
Okay,
Oh.
I would say I give it 30,000 seasons of love.
That's
Out of
quite a bit.
10?
Above, out of
30,000 out of-
52,
What?
525,600 minutes. So,
So
how many
out of
minutes?
10, like that's like a
So
6, right?
5.
Yeah, let's just say Ashley gives it a 6.
I
out of
give it a
10.
6 out of 10.
I'm
Well, that's
probably
pretty
going to give
high.
it a 4 seasons out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say I give it a 5 out of 10.
Oh, good reference. Good reference.
I'm gonna give it a 2 brown eyes out of 10. 10 bennies. Actually, no, I'm gonna give it a 1. I really didn't like this movie.
You
and
should
I'll
still
never
watch
watch
it,
it again. I do not want to watch this movie ever again.
It's a piece of,
Yeah.
classic cinema.
Yeah, it's in the important film canon.
Yeah.
Chris, we're gonna make you watch so many musicals during this podcast.
Please.
We won't only review musicals. We're just
Yeah,
going to
we're
make
just-
him watch musicals.
We're just gonna make him do it, and then he'll show up and we'll be doing
Let's
it.
do The Revenant next.
No,
No, there's music in it.
we'll post on our Facebook page what the next movie will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for joining us. This has been It's Not That Bad, and hey, Rent wasn't that bad if you take our average scores.
Yeah.
If you ask me individually, it was terrible. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Yes.